Hello. All right. Okay. We are live on Instagram and we are live on Facebook. So today, as promised, it's the big picture. What do I think is going on here? What's the whole idea about this whole thing that's going on with the planet, and how can we use it to bring ourselves into deeper alignment, to help us awaken? How could we use it on our evolutionary path? And why is it happening? Okay, so I'm gonna go, like I said, I'm gonna go super, super, super big picture. I'm gonna go, like I say, kind of what I see as being the patterns that are leading to where we're at and that have been a part of the the evolution that we've been on. And I'm going to talk about the patterns that I see being kind of the repetitive things that humanity is kind of seemingly really struggling with. And I'm going to talk about how we can use this insight of the patterns of what's creating the conditions we're in to create the conditions we want to create. Okay, so again, I always want to start from a place that, as much as I know that it looks like there are evil people and there are evil things on this planet, and there are negative forces and things that are working against the good of the general population of humanity, I acknowledge that. Okay, so I am not a sunshine and rainbows, let's cover everything in glitter and pretend that everything is like super great on this planet, because I feel like that's obviously just not reality. That's not how things are. There definitely are people and people groups and things that exist on this planet that are seemingly working against the greater good of everyone else. Like, we can say this, like, there are absolutely multi-million-dollar corporations that are profiting off of the poverty of others. And this is what I really want to talk about, is that this exploitation of human life by human life is not unique to our current timetable, right? This has been going on since the beginning of humanity, since tribes were existed, since tribes started, right? Ever since humans have been interacting with humans, we have been susceptible to a me versus them, us versus them, domination, and survival of the fittest. I'm going to go out for myself and take advantage of someone else in order to profit myself. Mindsets. Okay, humanity has always been like this. So this is not something that's new that we're facing now. This is something that has always existed, right? We can look back through all of human history. There has always been war. There has always been genocide. There has always been racial tensions. There have always been atrocities committed against women and children. This, again, is humanity as we are right now and as we have been. And we have made a lot of progress, and things are changing and things have changed. But I think that we also just need to first take a step back. And rather than saying, like, all this stuff is so horrible and, like, what are we doing? And as though it's an isolated incident, and we kind of have to just acknowledge that it's not an isolated incident. This has been how humanity has always been. And so that is a part of the big picture that we want to look at here. Okay? These things where we're looking out at the world now, especially now that a lot of us kind of are in a position where we are slowing down and we're not going to work and we're not socializing with our friends so much and we're staying home and we're having all this time to kind of look into things and take a realistic assessment of where humanity is at and where the planet is at and what's going on with people. And we're kind of shocked. We're feeling like, oh my gosh, there's just so many horrible things that are happening on this planet. And I can't believe it. And it's just awful. And it's like, yeah, this has been going on for a long time. And this has been going on for your whole life. And we might be becoming aware of it right now, but that doesn't mean that it just started or that it wasn't happening before. It like this has all been happening. And so in a time like this where things where normal gets disrupted, okay? This is when the things that are out of alignment with what we are capable of as a humanity become the most obvious. When things get disrupted, when things get chaotic, when normal gets destroyed, this is oftentimes what it takes to wake us up to the things that have been going on anyways, to the out of alignment stuff that have always been there and has always been there, to shake us out of our, like I say, like our just normal way of being. Yeah, exactly. That it is the chaos that wakes us up most of the time. Because right now we live in a world, and almost like for always we've lived in a world where it is easy to be distracted. So distracted that we don't see the things that are going on. We don't see the children that are being treated horribly. We don't see the sexism. We don't see the sexual abuse. We don't see the racial problems. We don't see the divides. We don't see the poverty. We don't see the things that are going on and are a very real reality for most of the people on this planet, because we are distracted. We're in normal. We're doing our day to day. And so part of what I really want to say here is that this chaos, this getting shaken out of normal, is nature. Nature is constantly shaking itself out of normal. Like if there were no humans on the planet, there would still be hurricanes, there would still be fires, there would still be floods, there would still be droughts, there would still be these natural phenomena where the status quo gets shaken up. And that is a part of being alive on planet Earth, right? We as humans have a unique perspective in that we have self-awareness, okay? And that is a crazy, crazy thing to have. And we really need to just take a step back and recognize how intense it is to have self-awareness, to be living life and capable of observing yourself, to be living life and capable of creating stories. This is a unique thing that humanity still, we have not wrapped ourselves around it, okay? And there is a reason why we are struggling so hard with it and have always struggled with it, because it is complex, and it took us from a level of complexity to a next level of complexity that we haven't even begun to really solidify and know how to deal with. Okay, so I'm gonna now just go with me on this. We're gonna go a little bit wide so that we can make sense of what I just said, okay? As far as I am aware, how life on Earth seems to function is, again, there is a structure and a nature to this reality. So as I've said a million times, the example I always give, there is gravity. Whether we like it or not, whether we understand it or not, whether we know anything about it or not, gravity exists. So if we want to fly and we jump off a cliff because we don't understand how gravity works, the universe doesn't go, oh, they don't understand. They don't see it. They don't know how gravity works. So we're just going to let them fly. because we don't want to make them feel like they did something wrong or that they are bad or that we don't want them to get hurt. Okay? The universe changes for no one. There's a structure to how it works. And whether we're aware of how that structure works, whether we're unaware of how that structure works, it doesn't matter. The structure doesn't change. We then go about trying to do what we're going to do within the structure, and to the degree that we are capable of being aware of how the structure works, we will feel pain when we go against that structure. So again, to the degree that we are capable of understanding how the structure works is the degree to which we will have pain when we act out of alignment with that structure. Meaning, there are probably a plethora of laws governing this planet that we are not cognitively capable of understanding, and therefore when we break those laws, we don't have an awareness of it enough to feel pain. So to give you a more practical example, humans are capable of unity consciousness. So we are capable of understanding that which I do to myself, I do to everyone. That which I do to everyone, I do to myself. We have the cognitive capacity to understand that. A lion does not have the cognitive capacity to understand that. They do not have the requisite complexity in their being to be able to conceptually understand that principle and live within it. Therefore, when a lion eats an antelope, they never have guilt. They are not going to feel any pain for the fact that they took a life for their life, because that they are living at their level of complexity. Meaning, and then with this complexity, the degree to which you are complex, capable of living in alignment with more and more complex structure of how the universe functions, the longer your lifespan is going to be. Okay? So the more complex you are, the more capable you are of living longer. The more capable you are of aligning with more of how the universe functions, and therefore less breaking yourself against reality, more keeping yourself alive. So a lion cannot understand unity consciousness. So a lion does not feel pain when it eats an antelope. It's a carnivore. That's how it works. That's its structure. But that structure, that relative structure of a lion eating an antelope, is relatively in alignment with the relative life of a lion. Universally, a lion having to continually murder another animal in order to eat, in order to live, is a lower level of complexity, a lower level of awareness, a lower level of structure within the structure that we live in. And therefore, a lion has a low lifespan compared to a human who can understand universality and become less and less harming in their dietary choices. I hope this is resonating. I hope this is making sense. That the more complex your being is, the more capable you are of understanding how the universe works, and the more potential you have within that complexity to align with that complexity, the longer your potential for life is. And the more things you will perceive as painful than something who is less complex. Okay, so again, a lion never feels guilty or shameful or feels for the antelope it's going to eat. it has no emotional connection to the antelope. It's going to eat that antelope and it's going to feel satisfied and it's going to feel great. A human who goes to kill an animal, even if you're a hunter, even if you believe in eating animals, it's fine. You're still going to feel something when you take the life of another animal. There's still going to be either a repulsion from doing that, or a desire to have reverence for that life that you just took, to have gratitude for it, to respect the fact that you just took a life, because you have an awareness, you have the capacity to feel that this, oh, sorry, we just pause for a sec. You have the capacity to feel, yes, that this other being has feelings, that it was sentient, that it was a life that was living, and therefore you feel a connection to this animal when you take its life. Yes? And this is why part of the reason that I think everyone who eats animals should be able to go to a farm and see the animals that they're going to be eating and see the process in which they are slaughtered. Not as a way of like trying to turn everyone vegan, but as a way of saying it's important that we feel these things. It's important that we acknowledge where we're cognitively at, that we are not like a lion who doesn't feel anything when we take the life of something else for our food, because we are more complex than that. Okay. So with that, we need to understand that going from animal awareness, and I mean, of course, we can say there are dolphins, there are whales, there are turtles, there are aquatic life that live a really long time, that live hundreds of years. And so we can then probably assume that their level of complexity is far higher than the rest of the animal kingdom. Same thing with humans. We know that our cognitive capacity, right, is multitudes more complex than the intellectual complexity of an animal, most animals, generally speaking. And therefore, we have the complexity, we have the capacity, okay, to be more aware of how the universe functions than pretty much anything else on this planet right now. And that is what humanity has been struggling with for pretty much all of humanity, is we have yet to reconcile how complex we are capable of being, how many of the laws of the universe we are capable of living in alignment with, and therefore we have pain when we live out of alignment with them. Okay? And again, this is not a simple concept to understand. So I'm not saying that this is something you should be able to just hear and like get. But so if you want to join my mystery school, I have we go really, really deep into this. That so much of we need to understand that our pain is coming from being out of alignment with the level of complexity that we are capable of. So this is why, again, a lot of people notice, okay, if you're a light worker, if you're a sensitive person, you're going to notice there are some things that are so painful for you, that are so uncomfortable for you, that feel terrible for you, that everyone else around you doesn't even seem to perceive. And then we get into this game of like, well, who's wrong then? Am I crazy? Are they crazy? Am I more awake? Are they more aware? Are they just sleeping? Like, what's going on? Okay, what we really need to say more is that there are just varying levels of complexity among humans. There are varying levels of capacity among humans. And not all of us feel the same pain. literally because we are not all cognitively capable of understanding these greater universal principles. So like I said, your pet cat doesn't feel anything when they kill a mouse. When you see that dead mouse, you're probably like, ooh, right? There's something inside of you that's like, because you have a cognitive capacity that is greater than your cat. So we can almost think of it like, therefore, we are more responsible for living in alignment with higher principles than anything else on this planet because of our cognitive capacity, because we have the capacity, the complexity to understand a very complex universe. We have a lot of pain because basically what happened was we became aware, as in, no, we became biologically, hard and software capable of understanding very high levels of awareness within the universe and within our earth, far before we have become aware of what we are capable of or why we are in pain. So this is the plight of humanity. We are cognitively, physically, mentally, emotionally so much more complex than the last evolution. We are orders of magnitude more complex, meaning we are orders of magnitude more capable of aligning with a much higher vantage point of reality. Yet we don't actually have the experience to understand what we are capable of aligning with. So therefore, we feel a lot of pain because we are not living our potential. This is what this means. When we all feel like I'm not living my potential, what everyone is really saying is I'm in more pain than I need to be because I have the cognitive capacity to live at a higher level of alignment than I am currently living. I have the physical capacity to get there, but I don't have the requisite awareness or understanding to actually live it. These are growing pains. So humanity has been in a state of growing pain for pretty much its entire existence. We came online self-aware. We came online. We evolved. We were created. Whatever you believe, it doesn't really matter. The human being became this level of complexity, meaning we now feel everything that we live, that we're out of alignment with living, that we're capable of knowing, that we're capable of living in alignment with, that we're capable of being in alignment with. But we don't have the requisite understanding. So like I said, right? Reality doesn't go, oh, that little baby doesn't understand that if they put their hand in the fire, it's going to burn them. So we will waive that. And the baby can put their hand in the fire and have no consequence. Nope. When a baby puts his hand in the fire burns the baby. Reality changes for no one. Right? Reality does not adjust itself for us. And when we have stories of shame and guilt and pain means there's something wrong or bad about me, or pain means I'm wrong, or we have learning trauma, we don't want to admit that how we thought things were isn't how they actually are, and that's why we're in pain, because then that means that we're stupid or we can't grow or we're shameful or we need to reject ourselves. Like all these stories we've built up on top of pain is really the reason we suffer. Because pain in and of itself is not a reason to suffer. Pain is a reason to grow. Pain is simply there to say, that was the limit of your understanding. That's what you think. That's how you think reality functions. And it isn't. That's all pain is. In real reality, there is no guilt and no shame. We do not need guilt or shame in real reality to know what is right or wrong, because we have access to feeling. We have access to pain and pleasure. We are wired for pleasure. We are wired to repulse from pain. That's normal and natural, because again, pleasure leads us to alignment. Pain shows us where we are out of alignment. So I got a question. Does our pain come naturally from our higher complexity? Yes. Because again, the more you are capable of being in alignment with reality, the more complex you are. The more complex you are, the more capable you are of being in alignment with higher and higher and higher levels of functioning within this universe. The more you break those laws, the more pain you are in. So when we're massively complex, massively capable, huge potential for how in alignment we could be, based on how much we have cognitively, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically going for us, that's our potential. How much we could be in alignment with life is our potential. How sensitive we are to pain and pleasure is our potential. And then that pain is basically showing us how far away we are from our potential. How far away the gap between what we are living and what we are capable of living. And that's the learning process of life. That gap isn't wrong. That gap isn't bad. That gap isn't meaning you're doing something wrong. That gap is natural, right? Like we would never say a baby should know that when they put their hand in a fire, they get burned. And it was in pain because it was a stupid baby. We would never say that, because we would never expect a baby to know that before it has an experience of it. And if we're proper parents, we are there to learn, to lead and guide the baby in as they grow into a toddler and into a child, that here's how we handle pain. When you're in pain, there's nothing wrong with you. You didn't do anything bad. It's not a punishment. There is no morality in the universe. And as much as we want there to be, it just isn't. The universe doesn't care if you're good or bad. It's not, we are not getting any results in life based on a judgment. It's literally just, this is the structure. This is what you're capable of. When you live in alignment with that, you will feel pleasure. When you break yourself against that, you will feel pain. It is cause and effect. Cause and effect. Reality changes for no one. So the baby has the capacity to understand, eventually, through experience, with the brain it has and the body it has, that fire equals destruction of cells. So that pain will always be there. And like I said, as a parent, it is our job to say, okay, where did you feel pain? What happened? Let's understand it. Let's go through the process of what happened here. You put your hand in the fire. It was hot. This is how it felt. This is what happened. Scar tissue. We can see it messed up your hand. All of these things, so that the baby can start to learn through experience, because this is another big thing that we really struggle with as humans. We do not learn intellectually as much as we really want to teach ourselves intellectually. We want to read books, we want to listen to videos, we learn through experience. We learn through feeling. We learn through doing it and then understanding it later. Cognitive capacity, cognitive understanding is the last phase of learning. That's the cherry on the top when you can explain it. That's when you've completely integrated your experience. But most of the learning happens through the experiencing of it, the feeling of it, the emotion of it, all of that stuff. That's where we're really learning. So do we learn to not put our hand in a fire from reading it in a textbook? Or do we learn not to put our hand in a fire from putting our hand in a fire, feeling that it really hurt, and not wanting to do that again? Which one's the better Which one's going to be easier for us to remember? That thing you learned because you did it, or that thing you learned because you read it or you heard someone say it? Right? So for all my people out there who read all the books and listen to all the stuff and feel like there's just something wrong with you, that you can't live all these spiritual teachings that everyone's teaching you, there's nothing wrong with you. It's not that you can't remember. It's not that you don't have enough discipline. It's nothing like this. It's that you're not giving yourself the opportunity to experience, to learn from your reality, to take those principles and everything that people are saying and applying them to your life and learning from them, probably because you have a learning trauma, right? We are all so afraid of being wrong. We are all so afraid of finding out that how we thought reality works isn't how it works. We are all so afraid of pain because we make pain mean all these things it doesn't mean. So first thing in finding our sovereignty in these changing, chaotic times, which, again, I don't know if you're like me, but if you are listening to the spiritual people and all that, it seems like everyone is always saying, this is an exceptionally crazy time on the planet. This is an exceptionally intense time. This is a time that we should all be paying attention. It's always an exceptionally strong time. It's always an exceptionally intense time. Because the nature of nature is that it constantly shakes us up. Okay? And that's how we become aware. It's not letting us get complacent and comfortable in our normal, because our normal is out of alignment with reality. So here's the big kicker of humanity, is that we feel this pain and we feel this pleasure. We all have access to that which is in alignment and that which is out of alignment with truth. We all have access to that information through our feelings. But what we have done, because we have the capacity to storytell, is we've made up scary stories about what it means when we're in pain, which then blocks us from being able to actually get the message from our pain. Oh, don't put my hand on the fire. It burns and it destroys my tissue. That's it. That's all that needs to mean. What humans do is, what an idiot. I can't believe how stupid I am. Look what I did. My hand being burnt is going to cause someone else an inconvenience, or everyone's going to judge me and I'm so stupid and what did I do and da 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 da. So we don't learn about the fire, because now we're all caught up in trying to hide it and being embarrassed and thinking we did something wrong and defending ourselves and all these things. And it blocks us from just learning the stuff, because now we have all these stories on top of it. Okay? Second thing, we are capable of consensus reality, pain and pleasure, due to the fact that we are all still living, generally speaking, from the codependent place of our childhood, where we were completely dependent on our caregivers for provision. And because we are emotional beings, which adds this level of complication, our parents could reject us, could abandon us, could abuse us, could not meet our needs based on how they felt about us. So unlike the instinct of every other animal on the planet, which is to care for their young, and also every other animal on the planet having like a very fundamental basic understanding of what their young needs to thrive and survive, humans, with our level of complexity, most parents have no freaking idea what their babies need, or what their babies want, or what their babies are asking for. We are a mystery to ourselves still. So therefore, the human baby can go about not getting its needs met in this completely victim circumstance, where they are fully dependent on their caregivers for everything. And we then internalize that, right? That fight or flight state that's going to be happening in the baby. And this is why we're now learning that, like, literally you can have trauma. You can have trauma that's stored in your body from when you were in the womb. You can have trauma that's stored in your body from before you were making cognitive memories, because it activated your survival response when you weren't getting your needs met. When you cried out and you didn't get your needs met, that activated your survival response. That activated a trigger in you that says, we're not safe. And then you started to take control over the only thing you had control over, which was your own behavior. You did not have control over mom and dad. You did not have control over your own wants and needs. You did not understand yourself. You could not go and get your own needs met on your own. Your parents had to meet your need. Therefore, you learned early on that when my needs aren't getting met, I either need to manipulate myself or manipulate someone else into meeting my needs. And then we get stuck there. And this is why we are all living as codependents, where all of us feel that we are victim to those around us. We all feel like we have to be accepted, we have to be approved of, we have to be a part of the group, we have to be loved by people outside of us. And we don't do that just for no reason. We do that because imprinted into our cellular being from the time we were 0 to 7, it was imprinted into us that needs get met from the outside. Okay? It was imprinted us as children. Needs get met from the outside. I don't understand myself. I don't have the capacity to meet my own needs. If my needs are being met, they're being met because someone outside of me is meeting them. If they're not being met, I either need to change myself to please someone so that they will meet my need, or I need to manipulate someone so that they will meet my need. So why are there narcissists? Why are there CEOs that take advantage of everyone? Why are there still people out there who seem to just get off on taking advantage of others, on the pain of others, on the suffering of others? It's because they learned in their childhoods that that's the only way to get their needs met, is to manipulate someone, is that there is only so much. And so if they get it, I don't get it. And I don't want to not get it. So I'm going to take it. They're not evil. They're traumatized. That was their experience. Their needs were not met in a loving way. Why are people codependent? Why do we sacrifice ourselves? Thinking, I can't be happy until everyone else is happy. I can't have joy until everyone around me has joy. I can't be okay with myself unless everyone else is okay with me. Because we learned that in our childhoods. We were rejected. And when we were rejected, we didn't get our needs met. So we learned that I need to be different. I need to change. I need to get mommy and daddy's approval. And then my needs are met. And then I feel safe. And then I feel okay. So this feeling of instability I get when I'm rejected is because when I was a child and I got rejected, my needs didn't get met. I was not safe. And then as an adult, I still haven't caught up to the fact that the whole world could reject me. And I could still figure out a way of getting my own needs met because I'm in an adult body now with an adult brain and an adult mind and capacities I didn't have as a child to figure out how things work and to get my own needs met. I'll find a different boss, find new friends, find different people who do approve of me. These things are all possible. I'm not stuck in my household where I can't do anything about the parents that I have, and I have to live in alignment with them or I have to rebel from them, right? So this is why we seem to keep bumping up against the same trauma over and over and over again as a humanity, which is this trauma of we don't work together. We're not unified. We're not realizing our potential for living in alignment with reality because we have all these stories on top of pain. And because none of us learned how to learn from pain. We all took our pain and make it mean there's something wrong with us or there's something wrong with them. I have to manipulate myself. I have to manipulate them. I have to do what they want me to do. I have to rebel from what they want me to do. It's never, what's the truth? What's my need? How is it not being met? Therefore, how am I living out of alignment with reality? Because again, we can think of our needs and our wants as reality. The things we actually need and the things we actually want in our truth when we're connected to true pain and pleasure are reality. It's aligning with reality. But like I said, we have set up consensus pain and pleasure, consensus reality that blocks us from understanding real reality. So a lot of people out there think they are having a good life with their pizza and their soda and their Netflix and their way of living that is just, we can say, harmful, objectively harmful. That in order to live how they're living, it's objectively harmful to others. And they don't see it. And they don't feel it. Because they're so caught up in the pleasure of being accepted, in the pleasure of being with other people, in the distraction, right? This pleasure trap. It's not true pleasure, right? It's consensus reality pleasure. It's pleasure that feels good right now, like a drug, like a dopamine hit, that then creates pain and chaos later. So this is the other thing that humans are not very good at. We're not very good at watching systems. We're not very good at cause and effect. I did this thing and later this happened. We're not very good at future pacing. We're very in the moment. As much as we try to be forward thinking, right? There are so many people who know that they're lactose intolerant, who eat cheese. Because in that moment, when it's, this is going to taste so good right now, and I want to taste it, I want it to taste good right now. Or I'm going to have a stomachache later. In that moment, later doesn't exist. Like literally to us, later doesn't exist. We just want the pleasure now. We just want the stimulation now. And when we are living from a place of true alignment, life should be immediately pleasurable when we're doing the right thing. So again, the more sensitive we become to true reality, the more pleasurable life is going to be, because it doesn't take the outcome, the result, manifesting before we can feel whether it's in alignment or not. You will literally get to a point where you will be able to smell a food or think about a food, and it will be pain. You will be able to consider talking to somebody, and it will be pleasure. The doing the things that actually serve your being will be pleasurable right now. It won't be a bunch of discipline so that you can feel pleasure later. But we have to be able to learn to get into contact with our true feelings, not consensus reality feelings, before we're going to be able to have that tuned awareness to what's actually good for me and what's bad for me. So this is why humanity is stuck in morality, because we don't have access to our feelings, because we all got shamed and blamed and rejected and scolded instead of taught and understood. We all got traumatized by not having our needs met, so then we became codependent or narcissistic. My needs get met from the outside, and it's either because I'm pleasing or because I'm rebelling or manipulating. And we never learned, no, I'm autonomous. So this isn't about, right? So most of us live, am I doing it right? And what we really mean is, am I being approved of so that I'm going to be rewarded? Am I doing it right? Means, am I going to be approved of and therefore rewarded with pleasure? Because I don't know what's right and wrong. So this is why we have morality and rules and religion and laws and all of these things. Because we are not capable currently of just tuning into our feelings and saying, no, that feels bad. I'm not going to do that. I can tell. I don't even need to do it before I know. Because feeling is an intellect. Feeling is an intelligence. So this is why in the next live I'm going to be talking about self-regulating. But if you're asking me, why are we in the position we're in? Why does this keep happening? Because number one, we humans keep looking for stability in our environment. And the environment is not stable. It's constantly going to be shaking us up and showing us. Because when things get shaken up, this is when we become aware of what we're not living in alignment with. When things get shaken up and we get bust out of our normal routine, this is when it becomes obvious, right? Obvious what is out of alignment and what is in alignment. We become aware of our pain. And most of us get so flustered with that we just want to go back to normal. We want to numb. We want to get rid of it. And this is why we're stuck in this stuff. We're not really learning. Because when we feel the pain of life throwing us a curveball so that we get shaken up, we think that curveball made me feel bad. No. That curveball took away your distractions so that you could feel what you were always feeling. So right now, humanity is like, oh, this is awful. We always feel like this. This is why we're addicted to Netflix. This is why we are addicted to alcohol. This is why we're addicted to food. This is why we're addicted to sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Because we don't want to feel this. It's always there. The misalignments of humanity, right? Where we are afraid of each other. We are afraid of each other. Where we do not respect the environment. Where we do not know how to respect our own bodies. Where we're not looking to serve our highest, truest purpose, but rather to be approved of. Where we're chasing consensus reality pleasure and running from consensus reality pain, rather than looking to reality for pain and pleasure, where we ignore our emotions, where we ignore the homeless person on the street, or we say, what am I going to do about it? Right? We feel this all the time. Right? But what is happening is we have our normal is so distracting. Our normal is so distracting that we don't feel it until things get shaken up. And then we blame the shakeup as being why we feel bad. Instead of, no. We feel bad because the shakeup made us aware of these things. The shakeup made us aware. So again, we're being infected by a virus. Most of us live lives where we don't eat food. We eat processed chemicals. And this is not a shame or a blame thing. Because there are a lot of people in a lot of places where that's the only food available. But it is, again, reality changes for nobody. Reality doesn't say, well, they don't have access to anything else, so we're going to make it so that they can eat Diet Pepsi and chips and be healthy. That's not going to happen. We sit in front of computer screens all day. Sitting in front of computer screens all day. We don't go outside. We don't breathe. We don't have regular connection with one another. We're dehydrated. We don't move our bodies. We're inflexible. We have all this toxicity in our cells. And then we go, why are we all catching this virus? Well, we're not doing any of the things that would give our body a leg up on being able to fight off a virus. Why are we in pain? Well, right? We live in a world where we sit in front of the TV and watch Netflix and eat all these foods that are imported from everywhere and whatever, and we have this giant ecological footprint, and we are a part of the system that is destructive. And we don't want to see that, and we don't want to feel that, and we don't want to admit that, because we don't want to think of ourselves as a bad person. So we project it. They're bad. They're the bad people. Over there. They're the bad group. That's the group that needs to be gotten rid of, and then everything will be perfect. I'm one of the good guys. We all think we're one of the good guys. And that's because ultimately we are. Everyone is one of the good guys. That doesn't mean that we're not living out of alignment and in ways that cause pain. And that we need to change. So when we feel pain, it does mean something needs to change. It's not that the coronavirus made us uncomfortable. The coronavirus slowed us down and shook us up, and now we're aware of how uncomfortable we are. And that is microcosm and macrocosm. How we're living our lives day to day and the effects that our life has on everyone. Because again, we are complex beings capable of far more complex alignment than every other species on this planet, maybe except for whales and dolphins and turtles. So where do we find sovereignty in this? Again, it's about, we need to understand that our pain is not a sign that we are evil and wrong and bad. We start with these childhood traumas. We start with addressing these childhood traumas. That learning is scary. I'm not allowed to be wrong. That when I'm in pain, that means I'm wrong and bad, or that someone else has to rescue me. We start to say, okay, no. I am responsible for myself now. And the first thing I'm going to let go of is blaming myself and shaming myself and thinking that this is what's going to get me to be a good person. Because a lot of us are afraid of this. I questioned the other day about someone who knows that they hurt someone else and won't forgive themselves for it, right? You're protecting yourself thinking, if I just shame myself enough, I'll never do that again. But the truth is, until we feel loved, our nervous systems are not going to feel safe to learn. And this is something I've been saying over and over and over and over again. Until we feel loved, our nervous systems are not going to feel safe to learn. And when we have done something that's truly harmful to someone else, we are meant to feel that pain. We're meant to feel, ooh, that didn't feel good to do that. But if we have compassion for ourselves and say, okay, I see why I did that. I see the misunderstanding. I see the pain. I see what drove me to do that. And I'm going to love those parts of myself more mature. We will then become the kind of person who never wants to do that again. You will have loved yourself more complex into growing from that experience. And then, like I say, you have experientially learned. And now you just naturally don't want to do that anymore. Versus, I'm going to keep beating myself up, telling myself I'm a bad person or whatever to protect myself from doing that again, which is only ever going to lead you to do it again and again and again and again. Because that part of you that made you do that is innocent and immature and doesn't know any better and is not in an environment to grow because you don't love them. Because of how our nervous systems are set up, if we want to grow, we need to feel loved. Because that is how we feel safe. And when we don't feel safe, our nervous systems are in fear. Do what I've always done. Repeat the same pattern over and over and over, because that's what I think keeps me alive. When we are in a state of love, we can say, okay, here's why I did that. Here's the whole thing that I learned, and here's what I can do different. And that is more complex than what I did before. So it's not about stopping yourself from being how you used to be. It's about becoming something more complex through that experience, right? So we treat ourselves with love, especially in the things that we think we did wrong, because we want to understand the part of us that just was immature and didn't know any better. We want to love that part into safety so they can learn from the experience they had, so we don't have to memorize and beat ourselves up to not do that anymore. You just become the kind of person who has learned that that doesn't feel good, and you will then learn something that feels better, and you'll want to do that more. You'll want to follow the pleasure. We don't change through punishing ourselves to not do the thing. We change through the pleasure of the new thing. We don't become better at eating healthy because we're constantly beating ourselves up for how shitty we feel when we eat cheese. We change to eating healthy because the new way of eating feels so much better that we just want to follow the pleasure of that. That's true growth, is when the new way of being is so pleasurable that that's what you prefer. So you're not using any willpower. So this is what finding sovereignty in this time is. It's about understanding that we're locked in a pattern of shame and guilt, and that's what's keeping us stuck. It's not about shaming and guilting ourselves. And we need to love these parts of ourselves that are in pain right now and say, this isn't because of this. This isn't because of the virus. This is being made aware because of the virus. I'm being made aware of this because of the shakeup and all the other shakeups that are going to come. So instead of getting into my complacency, instead of trying to go back to normal, I'm going to look at what hurts about normal. What did I learn as a normal way of being that hurts? And what if I don't make myself wrong that everyone else seems to say this is normal, but for me it doesn't feel good? What if we start to let ourselves question that? What actually feels good to me? What actually feels bad to me? Where is this pain, and what if I don't make it mean that there's something wrong with me, but that there's something wrong with what I was conditioned to believe normal is? That's our power. What if I could love myself even if other people don't? That's our power. What if I could walk a path of alignment even if no one around me is doing it? That's sovereignty. So we got to look and say, I'm complex. I'm feeling pain because I'm not living in alignment with the level of complexity I'm capable of. That's not my fault. That's reality. Nobody is. I am going to commit myself inside my pain. So much, making it so safe that I can actually learn from my pain. That's sovereignty. Okay? It's no one's fault. Humanity is struggling with our level of awareness. It's over and over and over again. We're projecting it. We're eating it. What we need to do, again, this is why self-love is the key to evolution. We need to love ourselves safe in our pain so that we can actually learn what the pain is trying to tell us, so that we are capable of evolving. Otherwise, we are stuck in trauma and we just keep doing the same thing over and over again. We're not respecting our bodies. We're not respecting each other. We're not respecting the earth. And so we keep getting shaken up and seeing that the foundations of what we're living aren't good. And that's okay. We just need to evolve. Okay? So we're going to talk more about self-regulation in the next live. But for now, I hope that helped you. It is about loving yourself safe so you can learn from your pain, so that you can actually change and evolve and expand. And that is your sovereignty. Loving yourself in your pain is your sovereignty. Okay? So I'll see you next week. Have a fabulous rest of your week, and just know that you're perfect. Okay. Mwah.